Welcome to In Progress, a podcast to help you grow and learn how to become a better version of yourself. Now, here's your host, Michael Cirigliano.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of In Progress. I'm your host, Michael Cirigliano, with special guest Pat Collins, a.k.a. P-Funktastic, a.k.a. the other half of Harmonious Chaos Podcast.
Yes.
I like that. You already used it.
I mean, we got two now.
I like that. So Pat is here today to talk about his journey within spirituality, more so specifically his journey with psychedelics, the history of psychedelics, and basically whatever else we want to talk about. But Pat is the other half of Harmonious Chaos, and he's the funnier half, the bantier half,
funnier.
the banterier half. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would say so. More banter. Yeah.
More banter. I'm a little more serious.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But yeah, so we have Harmonious Chaos that we do every Sunday. Tune in.
Yes.
Do you think they should tune in? You think the In
What
Progress crowd should turn in?
Guys, if you're into anything related to progress, I mean, yeah, of course. You crazy? Why would you not?
But what are they going to get out of it?
It's conversations about consciousness, expansion, and like taking it as far as you possibly can, and then bringing it all the way back to being little old Michael and Pat, you know?
MC2 and P-Funktastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we cover everything. Great.
Now, who do you think is our target audience? If you were to have to say we have a demographic, who would it be?
I would say the target audience would be a guy who's like thinking he's like someone who's not happy, first of all. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, anyone were into it. But like, as far as the person who's like, the person I'm trying to talk to, you know, it's like the old me, basically. And the old me was like kind of falling for all these lies about this other stuff. Like, you got to get this, you got to have that, and all that. So it's like just the idea and remembering that like that's not really what it is. And that's where we expand the awareness outward and we look and say, okay, guys, like you're all just like playing a little game down here, like relax. It's not that serious. And this is all this big love thing, actually. So like, you know, just enjoy the love and just spread the joy. And that's the whole thing.
That's literally it.
And like, it's just a mindset switch. It's like the next evolution in humanity isn't like we're going to grow wings. It's like we're going to, you know, grow brains, you know, or start using the ones that we already have.
Yeah, to their fullest potential. I was actually at work yesterday, and there was a guy that came in who was on this spiritual journey, and he was talking about how everyone's awakening and the government the government doesn't know what to do and all this, and I was just like, there are, and the thing is, like, I thought, you know, like everyone who does the spirituality thing or believes in the spirituality, the whole thing about it is like extremely like just like what would the word be? A hippie. That's what I thought. And this guy comes in, and this got funny enough to go with us, you know, after our Harmonious Chaos episode, we were sitting in the car listening to Kevin Gates. Literally, a Kevin Gates twin comes in.
Next day.
And yes, talking about spirituality and all that stuff. And I'm just like,
him in.
Literally. And he's talking about spirituality, how everyone's awakening, the government doesn't know what to do, so now they're trying to like take away the currency, get everyone basically just like trapped in. Man, that was just crazy to me. And then that kind of went with the whole, what were we talking about? We were talking about how like everything is tarot.
Oh yeah. Every message is like actually for you.
Yeah.
Type thing. Like you can learn anything from anything. We're listening to the radio, all of a sudden this dude says something that like relates exactly to what we're saying. Or like I talked about this before on the other podcast, Harmonious Chaos, check it out. But where I'm like, you know, I was falling for this girl who was poly. And no. Well, she was, but that wasn't what it was. It was she was gluten intolerant.
Oh yes.
So I'm at my desk. It's like, you know, I'm just sitting there minding my own business, and these people walk by, and all I hear is like, all I hear is, yeah, if they're gluten intolerant, you better run. And I was just like,
literally for you.
And I even thought like, is this for me? And I was right into that everything is tarot thing, which is fact. It really.
It is.
And it's like, I mean, it was right. You know.
It was. That
It
wasn't
was for me.
for
It
you.
was for me, absolutely, and it was yeah.
She wasn't for you. That message 100% was for you.
She wasn't for me. The message was for me, and it was just like, whoa.
It's crazy how that shit works, and like when you really pay attention to it, you realize like the reality of it. Kind of like it kind of goes with the whole like deja vu or like coincidence, but like when you really recognize it for what it is, it's like no, it's not.
There's no such thing as
it's real.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly.
But what I wanted to talk about today was something a little more in depth, a little more personal for you. So you were telling me how you used psychedelics to kind of guide you along in your journey of spirituality. And we were talking a little bit about how you got started in it. And I just wanted to ask you, I wanted to hear your story through psychedelic use and maybe your most impactful trip.
Now that you mention it, I don't know why, yeah. So just start at the beginning, right?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah, okay, so this is funny too, because as a kid, right, this is actually really funny. I was like, in Boy Scouts. I went to church. A girl at my church was talking about like having sex, and I was like, no, don't do that. It's against God.
So
like,
you're married.
Yes. I was like, I'm going to be an Eagle Scout. And like, that way when I'm trying to get the job against the guy who doesn't have the Eagle Scout, I'll have that, and I'll be, learning all these things and all this stuff, right? Although, honestly, I thought Boy Scouts was actually dope, except my troop just fell off a cliff because we were learning some cool stuff, camping and stuff. And then it just, they all just disbanded or something.
They couldn't handle it.
But anyway, what was I talking about? Okay, so I was doing all that, nothing, basically. And then in college, something happened. You get to college, you're trying new stuff. And then, well, it was weed first. Because weed is a psychedelic.
Yeah, what is it, like a lower grade psychedelic?
It's just a psychedelic. It's just different. It's just a different one. Like, I wouldn't say it's lower grade, but like, I mean, yeah, sure, you can smoke that compared to DMT, and I guess you could say this is lower, and this would maybe be higher in a certain way, perhaps. Yeah, okay. But anyway, so you start with weed, and it was like, okay, I'm not going to do weed, I'm not going to do drugs. I'm not going to do drugs. Because, I mean, drugs are bad, first of all.
Right.
See what they say on TV, drugs will make your head melt and like turns you into a sponge, not a sponge, but just like a glob of nothing. You'll jump off a cliff. You'll do something stupid. You'll think you can fly. You'll jump off a building. You'll kill yourself.
Oh yeah, those commercials back in the day about not doing weed, those were crazy. Yeah,
and like same thing with like psychedelics. My mom still believes that if you do like mushrooms or something, you're going to jump off a building or something.
Wow.
And we'll watch a movie like every Christmas Eve, like our Christmas Eve thing. We'll watch a movie and have snacks and shit and whatever. And one year we're watching this movie with Paul Rudd and Jennifer Aniston, and they get into this thing where they start smoking and doing mushrooms. And Aniston's on a tree about to jump off, and Ruddy's like, no, don't jump. They're putting the stereotype in the movie still. So the brainwashing is real.
She was right.
The brainwashing is real. They're still trying to reinforce these idea. So I, as a normal sucker person growing up, is like, yeah, that must be right.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, it's like you come into this world and you can do anything. You have this imagination, and then everyone kind of tells you, no, it's actually like this. So it kind of tells you to like shut your imagination down and just kind of listen to us. We have this stuff. Like that's not a magical thing. That's just a lamp or something.
Right.
Or whatever, And so anyway, blah, blah, blah. So you do these psychedelics, the weed stuff, it kind of wakes you up to this stuff. But anyway, so you're a little kid, you have these like limitless potentials, and then people tell you like, don't do it. And then you get brainwashed into thinking this stuff. You get into the marijuana. And then all of a sudden, it's like you're seeing, the first time I ever smoked weed was crazy. I remember like, you ever hear that like that 3D thing? It's like, oh, you see the people looking at their hand?
Yeah.
Like that stereotype or whatever, but it was really actually like that.
Oh yeah. Like I feel like the first time that you smoke weed is the most like the strongest effect that it will ever have on you, just because my first time I also saw shit, and then every time after that I never saw anything.
But like, what did you see?
So I was smoking in the woods with my cousin. We were you know, we had to hide because we were so young. We had to go
Right.
hide and smoke. So we had a water bottle bong with like the aluminum foil and the pen.
Oh yeah.
So we smoked that in the woods, and we were in like a little clearing in the woods. The sun was hitting down, and he had this little dog named Cookie, and it was like a fat little beagle. And so we're smoking, and like every time have you ever played Grand Theft Auto where like you can get high? Have you ever gotten high?
I don't know. And it kind of like makes it all.
Yeah, it kind of like makes it all wavy a little bit. So I'm smoking, and as I'm smoking, I recognize that my vision is getting altered slightly. And then I remember I passed him the bong, and I was zoned out. And I swore on everything that Cookie was sitting next to my feet. And I was like, I looked at him, I'm like, why did we bring Cookie? And he goes, what are you talking about? Because he's been smoking for a little while. He's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, why would we bring Cookie? That's so dumb of us. And he's like, we didn't. Cookie's home. And I look down, and it's just a sunlight spot in the clovers. And I'm like, holy shit. And then from there, it was just like an emotional experience more so. Mm-hmm. But like that moment, I saw a dog that was not there for like, I'm talking 2 minutes.
It brought you back to your imagination, though.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
Kind of a lot what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And like the reason people should do psychedelics is because of that whole thing. We're all caught in this like do what they say, this is the way it is mentality. The second you do psychedelics, it's like I can do these new things. It's like these paths open up, basically.
Right, exactly.
And like they'll even talk about it like scientifically, like in your brain, like the neural pathways. Have you heard that phrase before? Neural pathways, where it's just like you kind of have the same thought over and over again. It kind of like gets more ingrained in your brain, kind of, and it's like easier to have that thought again because it's like used to it.
Right, exactly.
And like I've heard the analogy where it's like you're skiing, you're on a mountain, and it's like this peak, and like you go down a certain way, and you know, again, it just kind of makes the thing deeper, and like everyone goes down that path.
Yeah.
Whether it's right or wrong. So like we all have this certain belief about whatever it is, right or wrong. So like psychedelics, it's almost like the little snow globe. You take that thing and you just kind of shake it up, and then everything just falls down. And then now instead of like seeing this mountain, like okay, I gotta go. These are my options. It's like, oh wait a second. I can just do anything.
Yeah, there's no path, so now I gotta make a path, my own path.
And like you'll see people like it seems so stupid. Like on mushrooms or something or whatever, and it's like they'll say like I forgot how to use a spoon or something, and you're
really?
Like, are you dumb? Like, but it's like you're just like seeing things with the freshest of fresh eyes, which is why it's so good for things like, you know, depression that are based on certain things, like a certain thing that's like you can't let go of.
Right.
You'll see it finally as what it is, instead of like you've been holding on to on this certain path this whole time. Oh, my mother is the worst, and my dad, and my whatever it is, right? And like you finally see this problem without the path, and you're like, oh, I've just been holding on to this bullshit or whatever. And people use it for like addiction as well, same type thing. Like you see it for what it is, you're like, oh wow, it's like this disgusting, like you almost see like visuals of like addiction would be like this black muck or something. And you
really
like, see it as that, yeah, and it's like,
and it makes it easier to like kind of like
because you see it because that's really like like almost like energetically, that's what it would be like, you know what
right? I mean? Exactly.
It's like this gluck that sticks to you that just holds you down, and it's like gross, and it's like, you know, just pulling you into the abyss or something.
And you see it for what it is when you're doing this. That's crazy.
So great.
That's the thing. Like when I did, so I've never done mushrooms. I've done acid. I've never done mushrooms. But mushrooms, I've heard, is a lot more effective when it comes to using it. It's less, from what I've heard, it's less intense, but it is still effective. You could like microdose and all that.
Intense also.
Really?
Oh, sure. So I've done. Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about the mushrooms thing. So I did the weed and stuff, and I had like the first time I did it, I was also drinking. So I just had like a really good time, but like I couldn't really tell what was the drinking and what was the weed. So I was like, I'm gonna do it like by itself sometime.
Right.
So I called my buddy up who I knew did it, Kyle, And this motherfucker, he knew I'd never done it before.
Mm.
And he like asked me a couple times, like, "Hey, do you ever want to smoke?" I'm like, "I don't smoke. Like, I don't even know what is that. Like, I don't
Right,
know.
exactly.
It's not my thing. I'm a Boy Scout or whatever."
I'm a Boy Scout. Yes.
But the thing about Boy Scouts that I did learn that was great: be prepared. That's their motto. So to do psychedelics and to like learn these things is to be prepared, is to understand like what it is. Like if I gave you something you've never done, like mushrooms, I'd say, here's this thing. What do you think? You'd be like, I don't know, because I've never tried it, so I don't know.
Right.
Me, I've tried it, so I do know. So it's like I have this extra. I'm more prepared.
Right.
If it comes at me or whatever. And I forgot what I was saying.
Well, you were talking about how you were going to do weed by itself with your buddy
Oh,
Kyle.
yes. So he gives me. You were talking about like the bong.
Mm-hmm.
He did like a gravity bong. It was like a milk jug basically in his pool.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, those makeshift gravity bongs were the
But I'm talking
strongest.
about like a gallon jug worth of smoke basically.
Oh, he did the whole gallon
for my first hit ever.
Oh, I've only done like the liters.
Oh no, I had this, and it was brown. It looked like,
oh my god,
like it was hot. I remember like you could taste it. It was like
chlorine in there too.
It was probably the biggest hit I've ever taken, still to this day, probably.
Oh, of course.
Or at least very high up there. And it was just, I remember coughing. I keep saying 9 minutes. I don't know if it was 9 minutes or not. It felt like around that period of time.
Yeah.
Like I was in the backyard just coughing and coughing and coughing. I ended up getting so high. So much stuff happened. But like at the very end of the thing, well, before we're playing Super Smash Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just losing my shit. I think I'm the guy.
Oh, wow.
Because one of the good things about psychedelics and the reason people should do it is because like people are so stuck on I'm Pat, you're Mike, that type of shit.
Yeah.
And it's like this reminds you, like that whole idea just kind of goes out the window almost, where it's like everything's everything. Like there's no distinction really. You can like look at your life and then you can look at yourself and say like, oh, look at Mike's doing this and and dissect it very easily, like so easily. And it just it comes to you because you can just see it. All this shit isn't blocking you or whatever. Anyway, so we're playing Smash Brothers and I'm forgetting about me. So I'm Mario or whatever. No, probably not Mario. I was probably Captain Falcon, most likely, doing his 7 kicks and just crushing him. But I was getting destroyed. He was killing me. Because first of all, he's like your friend. He's been smoking a million times.
Yeah.
I'm tripping balls basically. Like I'm not
from smoking weed.
Oh yeah. I'm tripping because it is a psychedelic, but like I'm having mushroom level trip right now. Like looking back on it, like I was really tripping hard, and like it was kind of scary. Like I didn't know what was going on.
Oh yeah.
But like I thought I was dying. I started freaking out and I couldn't play the game anymore because I started
really
thinking, like, every time I died, it was like I was dying and like he was attacking me, and I was like, why do you keep attacking me, man? Like I thought we were friends and shit like that.
Oh my god. That's
like,
crazy.
Just played a game. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, because the thing with mushrooms is like, you want to be we're all one. We all want to, we're all in this together. And I had another mushroom trip in college where me and my buddy was playing the same game. And I wonder if it was like a trauma response or a reminder of the last one. Because I'm like, all right, we're not going to fight each other. Like I told him before we started playing, I'm like, all right, we're just going to kind of, and we just like walked around on the board. And we weren't that was a whole different thing. But
did you enjoy it? Because there was no animosity there?
Because it was like I was just enjoying the art. And we're tripping too, so everything's extra like, ooh,
Yeah.
So it's like exaggerated times 10 or something. And and you're just kind of jumping around, and it's like, it was kind of like redoing that experience, that traumatic one, but this time it was just
the right way.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So, but yeah, the mushrooms. Then I finally did mushrooms in college. And they used to have this poster where it was like these 2 girls kissing each other. It was like this famous poster.
Okay.
It was called Kiss. It would just say Kiss on it. It was like a blonde girl and a brunette girl, like laying in bed, wearing like, just like white underwear and like white tank tops, like lesbian girls, obviously, right?
Yeah.
They're just like embracing each other, and it was just like kind of hot. And like I had it in my room, but like they sold it downstairs, like at the student union or whatever.
Okay.
So like I would go and like everyone had this poster basically. It was the best.
The most popular poster sold at the school bookstore.
Every guy had this Kiss poster. So like it was these 2 girls kissing, but it wasn't like this kink. It was very like cotton-esque, if that makes sense. It was very like PG almost.
It was just like a dash of sexuality.
Right. It wasn't too much. It wasn't like porn or anything.
Right.
But I just remember like doing the mushrooms and thinking, this isn't really working. And I was kind of feeling a little weird, and I was like, eh. And I've never really had mushrooms give me like visuals before, like things that aren't there. Usually it's just like stuff that's there is changing, or you can get into your imagination and like start imagining whatever. But like, I didn't just like see like a dragon come by or anything that wasn't there ever. You know?
Right.
But I remember looking at the two girls, and all of a sudden, like the one girl went in for the kiss, the other girl like pulled back.
No.
And then she was like, no, no, no. And then it was like this little scene happened or whatever.
You watched that happen?
And I was just like, yeah. That was my first real like experience with that type of thing. And I was just like,
that's wild.
Oh, I'm okay. It's working basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you're just like seeing things. It's weird because like with the weed thing, that whole like looking at your hand thing, it's like you see things in 3D, which doesn't really seem like it makes sense, like
because everything is 3D. Yeah.
But like I'm trying to recreate it in my mind. It's like you can't really do it, but it's like
you just see it more like
you're just more present. It's just like the whole thing about being present.
Yeah.
It's like it just makes you ultra present, and maybe that's just like the easiest way to explain it.
Yeah. Because
it's like all these thoughts and ideas and the past thoughts and the impressions, this is this, and the boxes you put things in and all that stuff, that just goes out the window, and you're just seeing everything brand new. Like, again, the mountain, you're just seeing the fresh mountain. You're just like, what is this? Like, this is, because now everything's a question because you don't know what anything is anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So now you have this childlike curiosity, and you can just see things new. And
everything's exciting. Everything's different.
Yeah. But you'll see things like, I've never noticed that this had this thing before, and it's something that's actually cool. Like maybe later on, you'll be like, oh yeah, like you'll always come out of it with these realizations that are like these epiphanies, basically, and it's like you can't help but have it happen. So it's like,
no, it's similar to how we were talking about on Harmonious Chaos, the power of now, the being present, and how when I was in Texas and I was listening to The Power of Now and I saw that plant in the gym, and literally when I saw that fern in the gym, and I looked at it for what it was, and I like tried to like just focus on it and be present in the moment, just looking at it, realizing that it's emitting energy, that it's a living being, and you look at that, and for the first time in I don't know how long, I saw like it was like vibrant, and it was like there was like lines within the plant, like it was emitting an energy that normally you don't see, but you can only really recollect that kind of vibrance from like your childhood. When you like, you know how people say like when you go outside as a child, everything's vibrant and now it's all dull. That same concept is just presence.
That's so true. The colors, I never thought about that. Same thing with this, like. It forces you into that state, basically.
Exactly.
And like they'll do like brain scans of these people on mushrooms compared to not, and like the connections that are happening are like 20 times. It's like this compared to like a whole beehive.
Exactly.
And it's like the colors. People are like, I heard this color or something. You're like, what?
I heard this color. Wow, that's different.
I've never had that happen to me before. Like smelling this or that or whatever.
So what do you think was your most influential trip? Because I have my one with acid. You must have your one.
Do you know what it is? You must know what it is, of course, right?
No, I mean, I know. I vaguely know of the story of you taking the 2 tabs.
Oh.
Because you were gonna take it with someone else, and that didn't happen.
Well, I got 2. I'll tell you then.
But I don't know about anything else.
Well, the one that I had like a spiritual awakening off of psychedelics, that like where I like realized that, guys, hey, we're all one. Everything's God. Death is an illusion. Like that's all real. So yeah, that's real. So like I had that one, which was sick. But before that, I was like fighting with my girlfriend at the time about drugs and this and that, and I won't get into all the reasons behind it, but we were trying to get sober basically, and like she basically was like, hey, psychedelics, you're not being sober with the psychedelics. But I was kind of like, well, psychedelics they don't really count. We're talking about like prescription pills or alcohol, like ego drugs.
Right.
Because basically in my mind, there's a difference. There's the ego drugs and there's the no ego drugs, the lack of identity, the we're all one type shit, or the it's all about me type shit. Like cocaine is the it's all about me type shit. You know, alcohol is all about me, amphetamines, Adderall, all that stuff. Those are the ego drugs. Yes. Awesome. And then there's the psychedelics, which are like the us, planet Earth, save the world, like big picture. So
the more the love drugs.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Love for all instead of just like love for self.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, so like I ended up taking 12 grams of mushrooms.
Jesus. Okay.
Which was don't do this. I would not recommend it. The heroic dose is 5 grams that Terrence McKenna talks about. Where he's like, if you want to have a mystical experience, this is his words, not mine. Because I think nowadays you might need a little more. Maybe I just have a high tolerance, but like take 5 grams of mushrooms and then just go into a dark room and just sit there.
Whoa. See, I feel like that's dangerous because then your mind can just do whatever.
That's what it's all about. But it's, yes, because you don't want these distractions. You want to go in there, like you want to really do some work. Yeah, do that. Or do a couple more. But like, so it happened to me, but I did too much, I think, because I blacked out some of it. Like, I don't even remember some of it. But it was funny too because it was during COVID, and it was like during the lockdowns, and like I was having these kind of premonitions of like this future, these future bad times that might have become.
Really?
Because I was hearing like these motorcycles outside in the streets, like, and I was like picturing like this vigilante society in the future, like all this bad shit happening and stuff. But I was thinking that like it would just be this temporary dip, and we would kind of like go through this tough like Mad Max type thing for a minute, and then we would just kind of settle down.
Right.
But I was like thinking about the relationship I was in at the time, of course, and how, after everything settled, this person was going to, miraculously have her awakening because I had one. So maybe she'd have one type thing. But, that was just a pipe dream or just delusional thinking and stuff like that. That's a whole other thing with women. That was a lesson that took me a long time to learn. And I think psychedelics helped me with that one, too.
What? The women part?
Acid helped me learn that like I was dating these like younger women in order to avoid growing up myself or avoid taking responsibility for my own life.
What do you mean?
So like,
because that's real as shit.
Yeah. So I was dating this girl much younger than me, and we broke up at the end of 2019. So this was right into 2020. It's like perfect timing. Everyone's getting into their introspection and linked up for me perfectly too on the wave that everyone was on at the time. And like, so I'm okay. We had these 2 tabs of acid that we were going to take together. And of course she's gone. So I'm just like, well, I'll take them and I'm going to just like write down. I'm going to use it as like a look at your life, like plan it out. And what am I going to do type stuff.
Right.
So I went in there and I wrote like 40 pages of stuff. I have it actually, it's right up there.
That's wild. Okay.
Yeah. So I wrote about some of it's BS. Some of it's interesting. I had some of it was based on ideas that I totally don't agree on now. Anyway, it's a whole bunch of stuff. But
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, folks. But basically, I ended up coming to the realization that, like, I needed to, well, I kind of just saw myself for what I was as this person who refused to take responsibility for his life, basically. And I was like, you're using the alcohol. Because I was drinking from morning to night every day.
At this point?
Oh, yeah, for years, for like 10 years, 15 years, probably. Well, maybe not completely, but yeah, pretty much like full-blown alcohol, like drinking all the time. And I'm drinking now, but like I was drinking
This is very different because I met you when you were in this phase, and it is very different right now from what it was.
Right, but still, yeah, it was like, so I kind of realized like, okay, I'm using this as a way to hide from responsibility, because if I'm dating these younger girls, they are going to take a few years before they're ready to settle down. So that gives me a couple more years. See, it's like a hack. I was trying to hack the system.
Got you.
And then I realized, like, dude, this ain't going to work. Plus, like, these girls aren't like, none of them are. You can't really relate. There's too much. Like, you need someone who's closer to your age.
Yeah, there's a generational gap that makes it so the similarities are non-existent almost.
Exactly. Like, I can't be dropping all these 2090s lines and you don't get any of them. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. She was born in like 1998.
Right. It's like, yeah, like I need, so anyway. Yeah, I mean, it helped a lot with that. I don't know.
So you realize that that's what you were doing when you were tripping on the acid, on the 2 tabs of acid.
Like that's part of one of the lessons I learned from that trip. I learned many other lessons as well, and it gave me certain directions to go in, and it got me to buy that iPad and start to do art again and stuff like that, and different things. But like, yeah, it's like a good way to just reevaluate, what you're doing, and just kind of, it's medicine. It's just like real medicine. So like they're feeding us all these pills and stuff, and all this,
bullshit,
amphetamines, like giving you cocaine basically, and saying, okay, this will get rid of your anxiety. Just be high on coke all day. Yeah, I don't have anxiety. This is great. Like, okay, but now you're on amphetamines all the time.
Right, exactly. You're dependent.
Yeah, so it's like that's not really. So this medicine is like hit you at the core, and they're starting to do stuff with like MDMA, where they're just like using, doctors are now prescribing it and doing like
they're prescribing MDMA.
Well, they're doing things where they'll use it as, I don't know if they're prescribing it, like saying you can have it every week or something. I'm sure it's not like that, but it's like using it as a healing tool, basically.
Really? Okay. And is that MDMA like Molly?
Yeah.
Really?
So I know. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, is Molly one of the drugs that you would deem acceptable, or something a little?
Normally, I would say more no, just because it's like.
Because I know of somebody kind of close to me, not really close to me, but I know him and we hung out a few times. And he has to go to the doctor once a week. I believe once a week to get what's it called? A doctor essentially watches him while he is pumped with ketamine.
Whoa.
Yeah, in order to combat depression.
And what does he say about
So
it?
he is prescribed ketamine.
That's insane.
under a doctor's supervision.
That's exactly what we're talking about, yeah.
So yeah, that happens to him on a weekly basis, and that's just to keep him at a. To be completely honest with you, like homeostasis, almost. It's not like
not working.
Yeah, it's not like he's like maybe you or I. We're like me and you. I would like to say me and you are pretty happy. Like we're out there positive, happy, loving.
It's a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a choice. And that's something that psychedelics can teach you. So if they're giving him ketamine and he's not learning about happiness, and
the thing that's crazy is he's doing this ketamine, and if anything, he's actually still depressed. Like when I talk to him and when I see him and when I'm around him, energies are real, vibrations are real, all that's real. Yes, and when I'm around this guy, I genuinely feel sad.
So his sadness, your empathy is picking up on his sadness.
Exactly.
He's
prescribed this ketamine under doctor supervision, and it's not really work. And the thing is this: I don't know how bad it would be if he wasn't doing it. But I know that with him doing it, it's not even where you want to be as a human being.
He'd probably be the same if he wasn't doing it, and
probably, honestly,
he needs to do something different.
But the problem is this, and this is what we've talked about on the podcast. I talk about it all the time on this channel. You need to take control of your own life. You need to decide where you're going and what you're doing. And he's just the kind of person that kind of is a victim of his environment and a victim of his circumstance.
Yeah, so many. Like we used to be in our own lives. You got to think.
Oh yeah.
Too, like there's a moment like when you decide to stop being the victim and becoming the main character or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So like everyone's you got to hope that everyone is going to get to that point at some point in their life and just kind of understand that his journey is different and it's taking him longer and he's got more struggles. He's got more other negative stuff around him to make it harder for him to, it's not like his is easy all of a sudden.
Right.
So like there's also reasons that it's like that and he has to learn these lessons, etc. It's just like, yeah, you got to kind of, the psychedelics again bring you back to that whole seeing things from the expanded awareness where it's like everyone's on their little journeys, but they're all just on their little journeys. It's all going back to the same ocean, basically.
Right.
Like you can't fuck it up. Like you can go any which way, but your stream still ends up in the big ocean at the end of the day. Like, it's all good.
Oh, absolutely. And that honestly, I think I don't know if psychedelics help me with this, but the realization alone, and we talk about this all the time, when you're taking control of your life, regardless of how, whether it's spiritually, career-wise, when you're taking control of aspects of your life, you tend to lead a happier life. Like when you realize you're in control, like you talking about how you were going after younger girls because then you had a couple years before you had to mature and grow up into a certain mindset. You put yourself in that situation because you thought that's what you wanted, when in reality that was you avoiding something.
But at the time it is what I wanted. But yes, then I learned what it really was.
And then now, from that point, I mean, every girl that I know that you've talked to is older, is more mature, has a little more like future in their sights.
There's that, and also, and I'm not holding on to ones that I know aren't gonna work.
You are very quick, not quick to dismiss, but you are extremely selective, which is honestly a phenomenal quality to have because not a lot of people are.
I had to learn because I wasn't selective before, and it's not that there's anything wrong with any of these people, and like they're all great in their own ways, but like I stuck with ones longer than I should have, and it's like, okay, this was good. Okay, it's not okay. Move on. Okay, let me stay for another year or something.
Yep.
Now it's like it's not working. Okay,
and moving on. Honestly, that realization, like for myself, because we've had the conversations where I've had the same realization, and honestly, having the realization where like somebody that you would at one point in time have been like, yes, that's what I want 100%. And now being like, there's not a shot in hell that I would give you a chance because of just mentality alone. Forget about physicality. Forget about how they look or how they whatever. Just mentality alone. Yeah. It's like, if you're not on the same wave as me, there's nothing I can do to make that work. I'll give you a little effort. Hey, here's the way that I need you to be. If you're not willing to go that route, I am so quick to dismiss you as a potential suitor. It gives you a little bit of power as well. Like it gives you a sense of confidence and pride because now you're this high value man who chooses who gets to be in your presence, as opposed to like most guys are just like, any girl that gives me attention, they get to be around me for as long as they want. But like somebody like you're like, I know what I want, I know what I'm looking for, and if you can't fit this role.
But I think it's not even a pride thing because it's more just an awareness thing. And that's why, again, it comes back to the psychedelics. The whole psychedelic thing is really just about being aware and like having this awareness mindset type thing. Not even just awareness mindset, but just literally being aware, seeing things, looking, like using that fresh eye thing and just like doing that.
Now, when you did, so the experience that you told me, that was the 2 tabs of LSD. Now, is that the most impactful, or is there another? Because you also said that you told me that you've done DMT. That's something that I've always been extremely interested in because I've heard that DMT is the most influential, intense experience that you can have doing psychedelics.
Here's what I'll say about that. It's like the one biggest thing I would say about that is like with mushrooms, especially, which I think is like my favorite and probably the best one. Like it's all about Earth kind of and us as humans and just like getting along and like the harmony that's happening and being aware of getting rid of the gunk because there's a lot of gunk. You notice that stuff a lot when you're on those trips.
Right.
All the gross, nasty stuff that's like you're allowing to keep with you that you should just be getting rid of, just dropping all that stuff. But like DMT is just like the opposite. It's like the complete opposite. Where it's like the feeling that you have, at least for me, I only did it a couple times, and I never had a full, like, I never saw like aliens or anything. It was, but like, it was this feeling of like, I'm a little speck in the middle of outer space all by myself, as opposed to like, I'm one with everything. It's like, I'm all alone, and like, it's just me and there's nothing else.
That's extremely just different. That's different, hard. Sure.
So, and I've heard people say like DMT is more alien, and like, but like I could definitely see why they say that. Cause it's almost like you blast off, you're in outer space. But when you also think about like physically, like even with physics, like this is all empty space, most of it. Like
Right.
everything's always moving. There's no such thing as a solid thing, right? Like all that stuff. Even every little molecule is like a football field from the center to the outside.
Right.
So in reality, that is what it's like. So it's almost like you're actually just more connected with like, but it's just like too much. It's like, whoa, that's like way too much.
Deep.
But like, yeah. So then you just kind of come back and you're like, oh shit.
So how did psychedelics influence your growth into spirituality? Like, how would you say that like, do you think that you would have been able to go this same route, experience these same things, and realize these same things without the use of psychedelics? Because there are people who deem to be spiritual, and you can always be spiritual regardless of however you go about it. But do you think that the psychedelics helped you in this journey, or do you think it would have, regardless, it would have happened?
It's just a shortcut. It's like it speeds things up. I would say there could be a person who maybe would never see the light, see the truth without them. Like it could be like that.
Right.
There's someone who could maybe, of course, like anyone could do it with meditation. You have to kind of want to be aiming towards something to ever really get there. Like stuff can kind of hit you out in the side of the head sometimes.
Right.
But generally, it's like if you're not aiming, like if you want to be spiritually awakened, if you want to like be, open your third eye or something, you have to kind of want to and believe that it's possible, and then kind of believe that it's going to happen, or else it's not going to happen. Like you're not just going to randomly like. I mean, like I said, there are these people, these random stories, but generally, you need to have the intention for
a little help
things to happen. But as far as like, it's like the elevator. It's like you can take the stairs or the elevator, basically. Psychedelics are the elevator, and in my mind, it's like there's not a lot of time to be this person here.
Right.
So why don't I take the elevator mentally, and then like I'm ahead of where I would have been if I didn't, and now I still have 60 more years to live, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right, and you're now awake,
and now I can
for that 60 years.
Right, exactly. When I could have taken me 60 years to wake up, and then I would have wasted my 30 to 60 period.
I was talking to a guy yesterday. He was an old man.
Save your money.
And not even, but yeah, typically. But no, he's an old Italian guy, and he was talking to me. He was like, he was like 96, 98. He's like, when you get to my age, you treat life like the last dollar in your wallet. You're extremely selective about how you spend it, and you try not to spend it at all. And that hit home for me because that, to your point, he values life now. Whereas his whole life, he was telling me, he was like, when I was younger, I would work, worry about making money and worry about working and worry about all these things. And then when you get to 98 years old and you're knocking on death's doorstep, all you care about is living to the next day, seeing your kids, seeing your wife who's, she's almost blind. Like all he cares about is family, loved ones, and living
stuff
life
around him, like the actual real things.
And that's the thing. Like you can become that, where this realization hit him maybe like 5-10 years ago. But if he did the psychedelics, he could have realized that a lot sooner. And I think that is my problem with the view on psychedelics. It's such a taboo thing now. People that do psychedelics, it's the same way people that do psychedelics are viewed, in my opinion, similarly to those who do hard drugs. And it's like they're completely different. Psychedelics can, when I did acid, all that it was pure love and unity with the earth and other people. But like that's not the real truth. Yes, absolutely. And that's not the way people explain like doing crack, doing meth, doing heroin. So how are they grouped in the same thing? Now, when back in the day it was so acceptable, right?
It's Nixon, dude. This happened.
Nixon did it.
Really? He was the president at the time. He was part of it. Yeah. Like there was this big awakening in the 60s. The psychedelic things happened. They figured out, they invented acid basically. And they did. And then like everyone found this free love stuff and everything's love and everything's beautiful. And then our boy Nixon, he said Timothy Leary, like he put him on TV. He goes, Timothy Leary is the most dangerous man in the world, or in America or something.
Who is that?
The guy who was like the spokesperson for LSD, basically.
Really?
And you know that Be Here Now, that book that we used to read? It's right there. His buddy, Ram Dass, he was a Harvard professor, turned into like a monk guru type person. He was best friends with Timothy Leary back in the day.
Really?
Like he was there for the beginning of all
So
of that.
what made Nixon say that it's not something to do?
The same reason the powers that be now don't want it to happen. Because if the awareness of the average schmo expands and we start being aware, you think they want us to be aware?
No, because if everyone's on love and not materialistic things, then there goes the entire country.
The whole thing, their whole little house of cards falls. The sandcastle just crumbles, and that's what's happening, guys. You know, newsflash.
The sandcastle is crumbling.
We're in it. We're on our way. So we're in that right now. Look, we're in the middle of that right now.
How much longer do you think we have until it's a real recognizable shift?
I mean, I feel like there's already been a recognizable shift, but I would say I still think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I
hate that. You say that all the time. I hate it so much.
I can't stop saying it because we haven't hit rock bottom yet. So,
unfortunately, you are right. You are right.
We will hit rock bottom, and then when we do, we'll bounce up. That's all it is. When is it? I mean, I'll go with the 2035 maybe number, but I don't know really.
We have some time then.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like psychedelics are viewed by most people, including myself. Psychedelics, even for me, it's a little scary thinking about that. Mm-hmm. So sure. I want you to talk exactly. I want you to tell the people kind of why they shouldn't fear the use of psychedelics, because it is the unknown. You know, marijuana everyone uses. You should
fear it, first of all.
You should fear it.
You should, well, not fear it, but you shouldn't go into it like willy-nilly, like, whoo, let's just have a party and take a bunch of mushrooms and it's all good. Like, these are like shamanistic, ancient medicines that people have been using. Like, this wasn't stuff that they were giving to the kids at school, or like the teenagers or even the adults weren't doing it for fun. This was like the people in the temples and like the elders, and they were having ceremonies and doing stuff with this. So this is like sacred technology basically for your mind. So like you want to understand that's what it is. It's not like a party drug, although it can be used in that way. That's just, you have to kind of understand that. Like, it's nothing to be scared of, but it has to be respected, and it has to be, you just have to respect it, and you have to go at it with some like sovereignty and like, this is a powerful medicine. It's powerful.
Yeah.
It can change your entire life, and it will, if you let it.
Right.
So it's like, do that, but like, don't just frivolously just think it's like this big joke. And it's not, if you've never done it, it's nothing like, it's not a drug. It is a medicine. These are things that come out of the earth for the most part. We're talking about the ones that I prefer, like, the mushrooms specifically, and like the marijuana and that. So, yeah, I don't think it's meant to be feared. It's just to be revered, I would say.
Okay, fair enough. Now from this podcast, what is one thing that you would say people should take away from what you've been talking when it comes to psychedelics and the use of psychedelics and all of that? What would you say people should understand and realize about psychedelics?
Well, what I just said, I mean, put them on a pedestal in a way, like this is a mystical fruit type thing, but also like the whole point of the psychedelics is to get you to remember the truth about the universe. So it's really just a vessel, or you're the vessel, but it's just a method to get you to this realization. The idea that like everyone is already enlightened, like this idea about enlightenment, right? It's like mushrooms will give you enlightenment. Mushroom is like biting the apple of knowledge in a way. And it kind of is, but it's like, it'll give you that. But it's like, once you finally take it and you finally get there, you realize it's like, it's not anywhere. It's already where you were the whole time. Like there's like this Buddhist idea where it's like everyone is enlightened. You just forgot that you were enlightened. That's the whole thing. So these help you remember.
So these kind of like springboard you to where you want to be.
These will remind you that you're already enlightened, because everyone already is, including you and me, everyone watching. So if you're into that whole idea of nirvana, mushrooms are, psychedelics will help you. Absolutely.
And where can the people find you?
They'll
And
find me
your
eating
everything.
We got Harmonious Chaos Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We got P-Funktastic. You can follow me on social media, whatever. Droptheveil.com. You can find merch on there and we can call it thought-provoking ideas and things, and some art and this and that. And Harmonious Chaos, P-Funktastic, Drop the Veil. The veil is the forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
So that the forgetting is like, I'm God. I got this veil over my eyes that makes me think I can only see the world of Mike or the world of Pat.
Mm-hmm.
So my whole thing is, you're holding the veil with your hand. Just drop it. Let go of it.
See everything for
drop
what
the
it
veil,
is.
and you'll see the truth. So, yeah, that's what it's all about.
All right. And before we end, we're doing back-to-back episodes of this. Tarot.
Yeah?
Tarot. Tarot's here, so tarot's happening.
I love this stuff.
All right. So, since you're here and we do tarot together, so I know a little bit about this deck, I think that we should do
Past, present, future?
past, present, future.
Were you thinking that?
Yeah.
Nice. Really?
I'm not sure for who.
I don't know.
For the people, the viewers, or
No, it's got to be a person, probably.
gotta be a person.
It should be you or me.
Why don't last episode I did a Celtic cross on myself. Well, we did a Celtic cross on me.
Let's do another one on you.
Okay, we could do that. Since the end of the episode, I'm fine with that.
I'm the expert, so I get to do it.
How do you want to do it? Split the deck or pull from a
I'm
layout?
gonna have you actually. I was thinking about this the other day, and I think after I split it, I think you should split it actually, and just split it and take the top card, the top 3
times,
and just go boom, boom, boom.
So split it.
Don't be splitting it where I split it, you little cheater.
Well, split it different. And then these 3, or split it, take this, put it back, split
I would
it.
take those 3.
These 3. 1.
Yeah.
2.
And your future.
And my future.
And that's destiny.
All right. Let's see what the cards hold.
Oh, yeah.
For me.
And for the people who don't understand destiny, here's the hack about destiny versus free will. Okay, here's the secret. Destiny already happened. Free will hasn't happened yet. Right?
I love it.
Like it was destined for me to drink this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fact. But I could get a red one next. In fact, I will.
You
was
did.
this destiny?
You already did.
So was that destined?
Free will.
It is now. See? Now it's destiny. Once it happens, it becomes destiny.
I like that.
Anyway. So let's see about.
You want the book, or you running?
We'll look at the book secondary, but we'll start with the cards because I like to just really take a good look at these bad boys. Always the past is the swords. I love it. I just love it. So as we know, the swords are the intellect, but they're also of course, look at yours. Hearts, 3 hearts. I mean, come on. But the thing about the swords is the bad cards tend to be the swords, because like your mind is such a powerful tool, but all the negativity, the depression and the anxiety and everything in your life, that's just your mind turning against yourself, and that's just the sword going in on its own heart type situation. Kind of like this card.
I see that.
So I'll pull out the book just to see what it says. But as you can see here, the past. So we always do these, and it's funny because the past is always the bad past, and it's always like this good thing and a great future.
We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, it's coming, baby. All right, so let's take a look at the old 3. Get the old book out. Oh, this is beautiful. Also, 3, 3, 6, 9. Those are the mystical numbers. So that is a good sign for you. But yeah, heartbreak. Right there, boom. That's all it says. Really, that's all it says.
Heartbreak? Well, it makes sense. With a
heartbreak.
card looking like that, it makes sense.
So, we already knew that, obviously. Crying. But you're in the sky, so it's almost like a little bit like angelic in a way. Or it's almost like otherworldly. It's not quite, like you're not on the ground, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly. I'm up there.
So it's like almost like when you're in your head too much. It's almost like the heartbreak it's almost like you think you're in a heartbreak, but it's really just your mind attacking your heart. Like I said, it's like self-inflicted heartbreak. It's not really
agree
real.
more. That's all it is. Always, heartbreak is self-inflicted most times,
and it's your mind attacking your heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's not someone else attacking you. It's your own mind attacking your own heart.
Damn swords.
And you were doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You bastard. But
you bastard. Yes.
Now what's happening? Of course! Of course!
Yes!
Mr. Pentecost!
Yes! Yes!
I love it. It never
so
fails.
Consistent.
This man is the king of pentacles. The money man.
Oh, yes.
Look at he's the type of guy who, when he sits in a chair, not only does he have to hold a pentacle and put one on and just balance one on his own head, he doesn't want his feet to touch the ground. He has to balance his feet on pentacles too. This guy is a miserly motherfucker because all he can think about is pentacles. He's supposed to sit around and think about pentacles all day. And I'm not lying. This is you to a T. It actually even looks like you, kind of. Put a beard on him.
It kind of does, yes.
But also you're, kind of, above with your superiority complex,
of
above
course.
Everything.
Yes.
Luckily, in the future, hopefully, we'll bring you back down to earth here with your superiority
This
complex.
is where I'm making my pentacles. My money is happening.
This is so you right now.
Oh, absolutely. That I couldn't have pulled a more me card if I wanted to.
The future, baby. Oh, I love this one. The Ace of Cups.
Now, what does that mean? Why is there an M?
M for Michael, obviously.
Ah, okay. What is the Ace of Cups? Because I know cups are what? Emotion?
Kate, yes. Cups are emotion. You're coming away from the world of pentacles, and you're going to open up that heart of yours, and you're going to stop being such a miserly pentacle grabber, and you're going to be more of a open-hearted. You're going to become I hate to say it, Mike, you're going to become slightly more into your feminine in the future.
No.
Oh, yes.
No, we can't do that.
Oh, yes. And this is also the ace is like a gift from God.
Mm.
Notice like the hand is just like holding the cup.
Yeah.
And like you got the bird just chilling, like everything's coming to you. It's like, it's just beautiful. And it's like a new beginning type card. Mm. But again, it's the emotion. It's the deep emotion. So it's not about the pentacle. So like, you had the heartbreak. You were like beating yourself up. You were turning against yourself. And you said, you know what? It's time to like do me, get the pentacles, run the city. Mm-hmm. But then in the future, you're going to say, you know what? Even bigger than that is this well of emotion that I have within, this empathy towards others, where it's not so much about the stuff. It's going to be about sharing. Look at it's dripping and going everywhere. Like you're going to be overflowing with, your heart is going to open up, dude. Because I will say your heart is a little on the close side still. I'm not going to lie.
Well, look at how I'm holding the pentacle. I'm
just saying, So, but it's opening. It's going to happen. This is beautiful. This is like this is actually like my hope for you too. It's like, this is exactly what I would want to happen.
I couldn't have asked for a better pull. I mean, come on. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching today's episode, watching the tarot pull, understanding me more, understanding Pat more.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, DM me on Instagram, YouTube, or DM Pat. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and tune in for next episode. Thank you for watching.